Hello, my name's Blossoms and welcome to another Genshin Impact video. And today we just got done with a 6-hour live stream. It was a ton of fun. We wished for Albedo, we got Albedo quite obviously. And I just had a great time. If you guys want to catch the next one, it's going to be next Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is the weekly stream time that I keep doing that. But anyway, we're going to show off Albedo's talents and give you guys some different build suggestions on how you might want to build them, as well as weapons, etc. Just going over his talents, how they work, and giving you guys those build suggestions. Anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and show off Albedo. Starting off, we've got the typical normal attack for sword characters. Nothing too crazy here. I actually super wouldn't focus this on Albedo. You notice I have 5, 6, and 3. I'm super not paying attention to this too much. And this is how it scales for those of you interested. It is definitely not the strongest scaling or even really good scaling at that. But it's very okay. You know, it'll get you through those times that you need to normal attack with it. And to show off his normal attack pattern, it is pretty fancy, I will say. It looks pretty good. I do like that aspect. That's the normal attack combo. And then the charge attack is your typical charge attack. And you can do that very quick. It's that's definitely a nice little thing. If you wanted to make some kind of crazy build with this charge attack, you could do that. It is very quick. That happens very nicely. But as I said, his normal and charge attack scaling is not very good. Moving on to his second talent here, we have Abiogenesis Solar Isotoma. Albedo creates a solar isotoma using alchemy, which deals AoE geo damage on appearance. Has the following properties. When enemies within the solar isotoma field take damage, the solar isotoma will generate transient blossoms which deal AoE geo damage. Damage dealt scales off Albedo's defense. Transient blossoms can only be generated once every 2 seconds. When a character is located at the locus of the solar isotoma will accumulate geo power to form a crystallized platform that lifts the characters up to a certain height. Only one crystallized platform can exist at a time. Only one solar isotoma created by Albedo can exist at one time, and it is considered a Geoconstruct. And you can hold to exactly dictate where that's going to go, by the way. And you'll notice here that it has an extremely long duration of 30 seconds and a skill cooldown of only 4 seconds, so you will always have this up, no doubt. It's going to be up all the time. You see the skill damage isn't too bad, and the transient blossom damage isn't too bad. Scales off that defense. And this is how it scales. You notice once I hit 7 right here, which I can do right now, we'll actually go ahead and do that real quick. This actually shoots up to 200%. And you can start to see where this gets really darn strong. As for how that skill works, you can press and it'll place right in front of you, generating the solar isotoma in a pretty darn huge field, as well as generate a little elevator for you so you can be above the peasants. Anyway, yeah, this is extremely strong, and any enemy you hit with any damage in this radius will take the geo damage, except there are a few exceptions here. Enemies with shields will not take that geo damage, such as the Abyss Mages. The Abyss Mages will not take the damage from the skill on the hit. It'll take the damage on the cast, but it won't take the damage when you're hitting them within the circle. Now, some enemies like the Fatui do get hit by this because their health is actually affected while you're attacking them, while they have their shields up. So it's only the enemies that don't take any damage on their health when you attack them while they have their shields up, like the big slimes with, like the cryo slimes with their shields, or the Abyss Mages with their shields. Now, just to show this off real quick, I've got some enemies right here, and we'll go ahead and place it down. See, it does pretty good damage. And then you see my normal attack damage, trash. But you can see that these transient blossoms are being generated on different hits, but you notice I was hitting the shield there and it wasn't actually proccing there. But when I hit them directly, actually damage their health, it does sit there and do that geo damage proc, so that's very important to know. Moving on to his third talent here, we have Rite of Progeniture, Tectonic Tie. Under Albedo's command, Geo Crystals surge and burst forth, dealing AoE geo damage in front of him. If a solar isotoma created by Albedo himself is on the field, 7 fatal blossoms will be generated in the solar isotoma field, bursting violently into bloom and dealing AoE geo damage. Tectonic Tie damage and fatal blossom damage will not generate transient blossoms. That's okay, you're generating them all the time, it's not that big a deal. And then this does scale pretty darn well. You notice this is pretty high burst damage, along with each of these doing 95% at level 5 here by themselves. And it has a very short cooldown and a very low energy cost, so you're going to be able to spam this quite often. And then not only that, it scales really well. You see my next level bumps me up to 500 and 100 on this. Very strong stuff. And just so you guys have an idea of how this works, we'll go ahead and show it off on some enemies there. And see, we got it in the field. You cast, and it deals a bunch of small damage, and it is random as to who and where it hits. It does seem to favor multiple enemies being nearby, so that's important to know for those of you guys using it. And you see I've already got it back, and I've only got a little bit of energy recharge on. Now we'll also go ahead and show it off against some enemies here without his thing there. And you notice it's just the initial hit, no follow-up hits after that. So that's very important to know for those of you using it. This is still really strong, and as you can see, we're dealing a crap ton of damage here. And you can see how this can be pretty bonkers. And you see the elevator does come in clutch there. Like, it's just very fun to be lifted up every now and then and go ahead and jump off the elevator on people. And you see I've got my burst back again. It's very short cooldown, very low energy cost, very easy to use, and that's some of the best parts about Albedo. Moving on to his fourth talent here, we have Calcite Might. Transient blossoms generated by Abiogenesis Solar Isotoma deal 25% more damage to opponents whose HP is below 50%. This is very nice. You're dealing 25% more damage basically for free as long as they're lower on health. It's going to help you clean up people a lot faster and just execute that, like your combos very well, just cleaning up enemies very quickly at the tail end of their HP. For his fifth talent, we have Homuncular Nature. Using Rite of Progeniture Tectonic Tie increases the elemental mastery of nearby party members by 125 for 10 seconds. This is absolutely bonkers in my opinion. So basically you use his elemental burst, and then everybody in your party just gets a free 125 elemental mastery for 10 seconds, allowing your combos to deal huge amounts of damage. And then for his final passive talent here, we have Flash of Genius. When Albedo crafts weapon ascension materials, he has a 10% chance to receive double the product. This is a pretty nice one. I believe Mona has something similar, and this is very strong. I didn't have this passive before because I don't have Mona or anything, and this is just a very nice passive to have when you're crafting stuff here. Every now and then you're just going to get some free materials. Moving away from his talents and onto the constellations here, he has some very strong constellations here, and if you get C1 or C2, you are set. They're very strong. His C6 is also very strong, but C1 and 2 are the most valuable, and C4 is kind of trash. We'll go over them real quick. So for the first constellation, Flower of Eden, your transient blossoms generated by Albedo now regenerate 1.2 energy for him, which is extremely strong. That's very big energy regeneration to where you won't even need any energy recharge on him, and you're going to be getting that ult all the time. Moving on to that second constellation, we have Opening of Panerozoic, and transient blossoms generated by Abiogenesis Solar Isotoma grant Albedo Fatal Reckoning for 30 seconds. Each stack of Fatal Reckoning increases damage by 30% of Albedo's defense. The effect stacks up to 4 times. Unleashing Rite of Progeniture Tectonic Tide consumes all stacks of Fatal Reckoning, increasing the damage dealt by the Tectonic Tide in Fatal Blossoms based on the number of stacks consumed. So this is just going to be increasing your damage based off of his defense even more. This is where it's really going to change your build for Albedo, because then you're going to want to focus less on attack percent and more on defense percent if you have this constellation, but most of us don't, so we're probably going to be wanting to focus on attack percent. We'll go over that in the build portion. For the third constellation, Grace of Helios just scales up one of your talents there. And then Descent to Divinity, Solar Isotoma increases plunging attack damage by 30% for active party members within the AoE. This is okay. This might be cool for some like wonky plunge builds, maybe Zhao once he comes out, but overall this is just a very weird C4 and I don't really see it being the best. And then the C5 here, we have the Tide of Hadean. It just increases your Rite of Progeniture Tectonic Tide by 3. Seen it all before. And then the final constellation here is actually very strong. If active party members within the AoE are protected by a shield generated by crystallized Solar Isotoma increases their damage by 17%. So yeah, this is incredibly strong. You're going to be getting crystallized shields all the time since you're proccing those AoE geo damages all the time. You will be getting crystallized shields. Very nice thing about Albedo, and then that's just going to increase your damage by 17%, which is just very, very good. And before moving on to the build portion of the video here, I will go ahead and show you guys the brief overview of his story. You guys can pause and read through that if you would like. As for artifacts for Albedo, you can go a lot of different ways. As I said, it is going to depend on your constellations, and if you have C2, then I would definitely say you want to focus a little bit more on that defense main stat for something like your timepiece. However, if you're like me and you're on C1, then you're going to want to probably do something like attack percent, geo bonus damage, and either crit rate or crit damage. Really going to depend on your substats and what kind of crit rate and crit damage you can get. Ideally, you want to be sitting at a crit rate of about 50% and then making your crit damage as high as possible. But I just couldn't do that. This is the best mask I've got for him, so that's what I'm doing right now. And then for artifact set bonuses, you're probably going to want to be doing something like Archaic Petra and Noblesse Oblige if you're trying to squeeze out as much damage as humanly possible on him. However, you could go for the support of the Archaic Petra, doing the 4-piece here, getting that damage bonus on your crystallized shields, but that is a little finicky because, you know, dictating which shields you get can be a little difficult. But if that's how you want to run him, he could be an excellent support, buffing your team that way, and that's definitely a viable way to do it. However, I think personally the best is probably 2-piece Archaic Petra and 2-piece Noblesse Oblige. You could also probably go for something like 2-piece Gladiator, 2-piece Archaic Petra. It's really going to depend on just what artifacts are best for you probably, and that's probably how you really want to base your Albedo. But as I mentioned before, I just have attack percent, geo bonus damage, and crit rate, trying to get as many defense substats as I possibly can. And you'll notice my flower here has some insane defense substats, really helping me out, along with some energy recharge. So that's going to be your priority, is for your substats at least, is going to be defense percent, crit rate, crit damage, and attack percent. Those are the very important substats that you want to focus on for him. And you can kind of build your set bonuses around that. I'd probably build them around your substats more than the set bonuses for sure. As for weapons for Albedo, I think you have a lot of choices. As for the best free-to-play choice, I think without a doubt is going to be Festering Desire. It increases elemental skill damage by 16% and the crit rate of the elemental skill by 6%. Very good. It looks super sweet on his outfit too, you know, very important. And you get that energy recharge, which is huge. That's going to allow him to just spam the elemental burst as you saw before. But maybe you don't want to use Festering Desire, maybe you want to use it on somebody else. You do have a couple other options, and usually you can just kind of choose your weapon based around your stats and what you really need. Like, say you're just really lacking attack percent, you could go for something like the Flute, and that's going to help you out a lot, giving you that attack percent substat, and allowing you to deal a little bit of additional damage. That's definitely not too bad. You could also go for something like Prototype Rancor, another good free-to-play option, because that is going to increase your attack and defense as you attack, which is very good for him, obviously, because he wants defense and he wants attack, and that's just going to increase your damage output, you know, a ton. And if you really want to spam, another good free-to-play option would be the Favonius sword here, the energy recharge. And of course, if you have any of the 5-star swords, those can definitely work on him very well. As for my current thoughts on Albedo, I actually really like him, and the way he can just be applied to pretty much any team and be very easy to use is extremely valuable. I really like what he brings to the field, just allowing you to get those free geo damage procs that do like 3,000 to 4,000 if you have them built all right. So he just really adds to the damage of your team. And the fact that he bestows elemental mastery similar to Sucrose means he's going to probably be a very huge combo piece for some one-hit, one-phase boss runs, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, I really like his kit, and he's very strong. He's definitely going to be a part of my main team for a long time. And if you guys were thinking about summoning for him, I think you really should. I do have a video of why you might want to summon for Albedo. Very similar to this, we just kind of go over the kit and the benefits it'll have. And it does seem that he pretty much only received buffs in, you know, from the leaked stuff that we had. So that's very good. And one more quick thing to note that I wanted to mention is the fact that his Geoconstruct can be destroyed by bosses and whatnot, so you do have to be careful as to where you place it, as that can hurt the little bits of damage you're going to be getting from those Geo AoE effects in the field if they just destroy it instantly, so you do have to be a little bit careful about how you place it. And it also doesn't work in places like the Oceanid boss room, which is very annoying. But overall, with those downsides, he's still an amazing character, and I highly, highly recommend you summon for him if you have any interest in the way he looks or the way he plays. as I can confirm he is a very fun character. Anyway, that's going to be it for the video, guys. I tried to keep this one a little bit quick. I know there's a lot of Albedo videos, and I just kind of wanted to give you guys my thoughts on him specifically. And let me know if you have Albedo, if you're enjoying him, what you like and dislike about him. I would love to see those comments below. Anyway, my name is Blossoms, and I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Peace.